Hey everyone, it's Hunter here with 360 Lsat Tutoring, and today I'm going to go over some mistakes that people make when studying for the Lsat and how to avoid these mistakes to better improve your Lsat score. I am an Lsat tutor, and these are a lot of the mistakes that many of my students make, as well as many of the mistakes that I made while I was studying for the Lsat. Let's jump right into it with the number one and most important mistake that people make, and that is not giving themselves enough time to study for the Lsat. It's a common misconception that the Lsat takes 3 months to study for. The LSAT varies depending on your ability and how far you want to go at the LSAT. So if you're looking to score a 170 and your starting score is a 140, it's probably going to take you more than 3 months to study for. So something that you need to look out for is you probably are going to be studying for double the amount of time that you initially think you're going to be studying for. Many of my students come to me in January and they just started studying for the LSAT and they say, I'm going to take the test in March. This isn't a great strategy. You don't want to sign up for the test right away. Get an idea of how long you think you're going to be studying for before you sign up for an exam. So overall on this topic, just give yourself more time. This is going to reduce the pressure on you. If you feel like you're in a rush, you're going to have to study constantly, day in and day out, and that's when burnout occurs. So give yourself enough time to study for the LSAT where you're not in a rush and you feel comfortable with improving your score. This next mistake is one that I certainly made a lot of when I was studying for the LSAT, and that is getting too down on myself for one bad practice score. So towards the end of my studying, I was scoring in the mid 170s, and when I would score a 171, I would get down on myself. This is really a bad strategy. It puts too much pressure on yourself to improve and too much pressure on yourself to stay consistent. The LSAT is something that does vary. Your scores are going to vary. They're going to go up. They're going to go down. So celebrate the highs, but don't get too excited when the highs come. And also don't get too down on yourself when the lows come. Low scores are going to happen. It's just a part of the studying process. The next tip I have is to set a realistic study schedule. Too often I see people that say they're going to study for 50 hours a week for 5 months straight. This isn't realistic. The LSAT is demanding and it puts a lot of pressure on your mind. So it's not realistic to think that you can study for 50 hours a week for several months. You're going to get exhausted and you're going to burn yourself out. Additionally, if you have other stuff going on, like you're working or you're going to school or both, be realistic with the amount of time that you can study for the LSAT in a given week. If you do have all these other things going on, you may want to study 6 hours a week instead of 12 hours a week, but for 6 months instead of 3. So just lengthen the time that you're going to study for rather than increase the amount of time each week. Although it is important to not burn yourself out, it's also important to be consistent with your studying. So set a schedule that you can stick to and that you can do regularly. If you don't have a schedule, it's going to be really hard for you to study just randomly throughout the day. So set something that's realistic, but is regular in the times that you study. Because without a study schedule, things may seem chaotic and you may find it more difficult to study on a regular basis. The last thing that holds people back on the LSAT is actually something that you may not think about, and that is spending too much time thinking about the LSAT when you're supposed to be relaxing or doing other work. The LSAT can consume your life if you aren't careful. You'll find yourself constantly talking about it when other people really don't care very much, or you're constantly thinking about that question that you missed. When you're taking time off, when you're relaxing, spend that time relaxing. Don't continue to think about the LSAT. It gives you enough trouble while you're actively studying for it. So put it out of your mind and just relax during the time when you're supposed to be relaxing. There's no quicker path to burnout than to constantly think and constantly talk about the LSAT. So when you have the time off, take that time off, relax, and do not think about the LSAT. I hope you found these tips helpful. These are all things that either I struggled with while I was taking the test and caused harm to my studying, or some stuff is from my students and stuff that they have done that has held them back. This is by no means an exhaustive list of everything that's holding people back while taking the LSAT, but it is many of the things that are the biggest contributors to some of the problems that you may be facing with the LSAT. If you're interested in tutoring or just have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our email and our website will be on the screen. I hope you have a great day and good luck with your studies.